Hey everybody, this is Alan from Woodcrest Bonsai, and today I'm going to work on my water jasmine. The history of this tree was that I used this tree as a stock plant, mainly for air layers, for quite a few years, so I would let it just grow, 2 or 3 feet taller than it is now, and then take those branches and air layer them. And I had some decent success, not much. But in February of 2024, I finally decided to turn it into a bonsai. So I cut it way back. I took off the last 2 air layers, and then I decided to style it as a bonsai. And it's had a little bit more work since then. So now we're up on a little more than a year, and it needs more work now. I cut a lot of things back earlier this year. This branch here, which you see is really quite heavy, was non-existent for a long time. It was just a little tiny thing like that, and so I wanted that to elongate and get thicker, but it's now thicker than the first main branch. I want this to be the first main branch, and so I really need to keep this guy from really getting too much rampant growth. And if we notice on the tree, most of the brand new growth is all in the back here, including that branch. So almost all of this stuff here is all coming off. And then on the first main branch, I have a strange, let me turn it like this. This branch here, they're actually beginning to flower already. They don't normally flower till May. But who knows? This branch here is actually coming from here and then shooting straight across the grain. And that's something that normally I would totally remove, or at least wire it into place or do something with it. But what I'm actually going to do with it is I'm going to wire it up like this, in hopes that the tree will send more energy into this portion here. And that will thicken this branch. This first branch is just so thin compared to this guy, especially since this was almost non-existent a couple years ago, and I just let it elongate and it thickened very quickly. So now it's time to let this guy catch up. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is to do the trimming. So if we've got, and I'm not showing you the pot because I don't think it's necessary to show you the pot. The only thing I'm going to do down here is to take off these little suckers right here. And this section of this tree suckers constantly. I took off a huge piece right here that has cut paste on it, and it will continue to sucker from that area forever. As long as the tree is alive, it will continue to sucker. And they do that. They're prone to producing suckers down at the base pretty regularly. And here's another very large limb, and I do believe this was an air layer limb, so I used to let it just grow up and up and up. So that's it for the bottom, so we don't need anything else from the bottom. So this tree is still in the early stages. My vision for this tree is first branch moving, out into here, even further. Second branch moving out into here, but I do not want this. It's sending virtually all its energy into this side of the tree, and I already let this get too big. So this guy here is coming off virtually completely. And there is a tiny little bit of growth right there, and there's a couple other smaller pieces in here, and this is the one I want to promote. But I'm still not going to let it elongate the way I let this elongate. When this was cut back to here, it was a good 8 or 10 inches, and that was just a little too long. And so now for most of the rest of the tree, it's just removing the new growth. And as you can see back here, there's a whole lot of brand new growth, And Radii religiosa is a very tropical tree. Must have some kind of cold protection in the winter. And of course, for me, the easiest way to give it cold protection is to live in an area where it doesn't get cold. So, sorry, still have my cough. So, just going to cut all the brand new growth. Radii grows like many other tropicals, like parrot's beak and premna and nia, with big long canes. So that's why this guy here got so long, because I just let it go and it just went crazy. Big long cane. And all that stuff that I just cut off, if I had allowed it to continue, it could be a foot in another month. So I don't want that. Okay, my back branch here is a little funky because in a perfect world, the back branch would be going back. But as you can see right here, it kind of goes back and then this way, and that can all be rectified at some point. And there's another very large scar where I used to allow it to just grow and then take the air layers from that. And then up here there's another very large scar where this thing was much taller and I would air layer that, but no more. A water jasmine, I said, is starting to flower. Water jasmine produces a small white pendulous flower that is incredibly fragrant. And in fact, for me, for my nose, for my olfactory senses, it's too fragrant. It almost gives me a headache. It's just a little too much. But sometimes you can see bonsai in full bloom, finished trees that have all the nice branching and the pads, and the flowers are just spectacular. And it's very rare around here, although I have seen it happen. They produce a pod, a seed pod, usually as a double. So you get 2 seed pods out of 1 flower. I've only seen that happen 1 time to 1 tree. So they don't make seed readily at all. Typically they're propagated with either cuttings or air layers. So where are we? Oh yeah, okay, here's the front. Now this guy here is pointing right at us, but so just a little bit of wire, and I can bring that guy, into here. Let me take it from behind. So, that's, it also has a very interesting scar right here, but you don't necessarily want that to be the front necessarily. I don't think it's, how many times am I going to say necessary? Okay, so something like that. This guy's in almost a perfect position. And then this little tiny bit right here is going to begin to form the pad of that branch. And then it's got nice movement, nice taper. This here looks dead, so we're going to take it off. And I actually have my concave cutters. So I'm going to take this little piece right here, completely down to the crook, all the way to there, because that's dead. So certainly don't need it. I can clean that up later. So if we get rid of the first main branch, we see it's got very nice movement and taper up to the apex. The 2 little apex points I did not pinch yet, but I will once I get up into here. And then the only other thing I have left is I want to try to coax the tree. I don't want to use the word force, but I want to force the tree to push more sap and more energy into this weak first branch. Without this branch, it would still make a bonsai. It would just be a much taller tree. This would be branch number 1, and this would probably be branch number 2, and it would just take longer, and it would be a taller tree. It'd probably look just fine, but I really want this little guy to be branch number 1. And so I'm going to wire it, but I'm not going to wire it the traditional way that, where you take it around the branch and then you bend the branch either up or down or to the side or whatever. All I want to do is just go like this. I just want to take this and put it like that so that it's competing with the apex here. And you notice I have not trimmed any of the little stuff on this branch because I want it to become stronger. So this should not be that difficult. I'm not really wiring it per se. All I want to do is coax it upright. And that's probably going to be all it needs. There we go. And it's not perfectly upright, but I don't think it needs to be. So before I started trimming, you noticed that on this side right here, all the most aggressive growth was all over here. So now I want to try to get the tree to move some growth here. So now that this is as high as the apex, I'm hoping that it will say that this is the apex and then send that thing going. So this is basically a sacrifice branch. It's a little unconventional as a sacrifice branch, but it's going to work the same way. And I don't see much else. There's a couple of little pieces right here that I also want them to elongate just a little touch more before I pinch them back. And I've cut back just about everything back here. The back branch has some funkiness, there's no question about that, but that can all be rectified. So that's about it for today. Oh no, please don't tell me it's going to be another windy day. We've had windy days that were just like unbelievable windy. In fact, I just decided not to even do videos because I hate when I'm watching somebody else's video and the wind is disrupting the audio. Oh, that's just so annoying. So because I hate it so much, I'm practicing the golden rule. I try not to do any videos in high wind because I just can't stand that. So anyway, there we go. That's it for today. And because these guys grow so quickly, not necessarily thickness or robustness, but the long canes, it'll probably be another month or maybe a little bit longer before I do another update on this guy because it will need another trimming. And when this tree was a stock plant for air layers, I rarely ever trimmed it. I just let it grow like crazy. Then I did the air layer. Then I chopped it way back, and then I let it grow like crazy and did another air layer. But now that it's a bonsai, it's very regular trimming, 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 and that is really the essence of a finished tree. Is keeping everything in place. Once you've got everything in place, then it's a matter of maintaining it in place. So basically, once my sacrifice branch works and the first main branch gets a little thicker, at least as thick as this guy, then that would be it for the rest of this tree. Is just maintenance, 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 maintenance. And I'm really looking forward to that because I think that in a couple of years, if we can visualize a nice pad here and a nice pad here and the apex coming up and more padding and then the flowers hanging in May, I'm really looking forward to making that happen. So if you're not subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and you can continue to watch this guy move in that direction. And if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. All of the algorithm, the YouTube algorithm loves all that stuff. Like, subscribes, comments. So that's it for today. Righty-eye religiosa. also called water jasmine. So thank you so much for watching Woodcrest Bonsai.